What if I told you that within you lies a dormant power, an ancient force so profound, so mysterious, that awakening it could shift the very fabric of your reality? Imagine glimpsing the unseen threads that weave the cosmos, sensing truths beyond ordinary perception, and bending fate with a whisper of your mind. This is not fantasy. It is the hidden birthright of humanity, a godlike psychic power locked away in the depths of your being, waiting to be unleashed. For millennia, secretive sages and mystics have guarded these esoteric arts, psychic abilities so potent, so swift to manifest, they were deemed almost illegal by the rulers of their time. To tap into this power was to hold the keys to divine knowledge itself. And yet, for most, these secrets remain buried beneath layers of skepticism, confusion, or forgotten history. Today, you stand on the threshold of that forgotten gateway. In this journey, we will peel back the veil of illusion and reveal how to awaken these godlike psychic abilities with a speed that feels like bending the laws of nature. This isn't a slow, arduous path of endless meditation or decades of trial. No, this is the swift ignition of your latent psychic flame, a spark that will illuminate realms beyond the five senses. Together, we will explore the ancient wisdom and mystical philosophies that underpin psychic mastery. We will dismantle myths, unlock powerful concepts, and most importantly, provide practical guidance to help you awaken your inner seer, oracle, and prophet. Prepare yourself, not just to learn, but to transform. The power you seek has always been within, waiting for you to claim it. The question is, are you ready to cross the threshold into a new reality where your psychic gifts become not just possible, but inevitable? Long before the rise of modern civilization, before the clamor of industry and the digital hum of the current age, there were those who walked among the ancient stones with minds that burned like stars. They were not called psychics in the modern sense. They were known by many names: oracles, seers, magi, shamans, initiates of the mystery schools. In every corner of the ancient world, from the crystalline pyramids of Egypt to the meditative silence of Tibetan monasteries, from the dreamtime realms of Aboriginal Australia to the forgotten temples swallowed by Amazonian vines, these individuals practiced sacred arts that gave them access to otherworldly perception. They could see beyond time, hear the unspoken, and channel wisdom from realms beyond comprehension. To the untrained eye, their abilities seemed miraculous. But to those who understood the deeper mechanisms of the soul and spirit, it was a science, an inner alchemy. These were not tricks of illusion, they were the natural extensions of consciousness unlocked through ancient knowledge and discipline. Psychic power, in this view, was not a gift bestowed on the chosen few, it was a universal potential, encoded into every human being like a divine blueprint. But like all great power, it required reverence, responsibility, and ritual to awaken. Throughout history, the powerful feared those who could see through veils. Empires rose and fell by the whispers of oracles. Kings and emperors consulted mystics before going to war, while secret societies cloaked their knowledge behind layers of symbolism, geometry, and myth. As the modern world moved toward materialism, the inner sciences were gradually pushed to the shadows. The age of reason brought with it skepticism and a deep mistrust of anything not measurable or repeatable in a laboratory. But in doing so, it severed the connection to something older than science itself, the soul's memory of its limitless nature. Many of the texts that once taught the mechanics of these psychic arts were destroyed, hidden, or encrypted into myth. Take, for example, the Hermetic writings attributed to Thoth, also known as Hermes Trismegistus, a divine figure said to be the bridge between man and the gods. His teaching spoke of, as above, so below, hinting that the universe and the human psyche are mirrors of one another. The Emerald Tablet, a cryptic and potent piece of ancient alchemy, speaks in metaphors that modern readers often overlook as poetic nonsense. But to those with eyes to see, it is a roadmap to activating inner faculties that defy linear explanation. In India, yogic scriptures spoke of siddhis, extraordinary powers attained through intense spiritual practice, clairvoyance, levitation, telepathy, precognition. These weren't fairy tales, they were considered side effects of a consciousness that had expanded beyond the constraints of the ego. In the Taoist traditions of China, inner energy known as qi could be cultivated to such refined levels that one could heal, influence reality, or access the void between moments. But why, then, is this knowledge not taught openly today? The answer lies in a simple truth: power is dangerous when placed in unprepared hands. As civilizations turned outward for power, conquest, wealth, control, they began to fear the inward path. Those who possessed spiritual abilities were branded as heretics, witches, or madmen. The churches burned them. The governments silenced them. The mainstream ridiculed them. And so, the knowledge went underground, encoded in symbols, preserved in whispered lineages, and waiting patiently for the age when humanity would again become ready to wield it wisely. That time, dear seeker, may be now. In the turbulence of this era, a quiet awakening is occurring. The ancient teachings are resurfacing, not as dogma, but as living codes waiting to be activated within those brave enough to explore them. If you felt the pull toward the unseen, the inexplicable, the inner voice that says, "There's more," you are already answering the call. And now, we begin to decode what was hidden, not to merely believe, but to know. Not tomorrow. Now. To unlock godlike psychic powers, one must first discard the illusion that they are unnatural. The truth is far stranger, and far simpler. Your mind is not confined to the folds of the brain, it is a vast receiver, a quantum navigator tethered to the great field of consciousness that permeates all things. Every thought, every emotion, every dream you've ever had is not merely internal noise, it is a signal. A message. A vibration echoing through the latticework of reality. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the center of an invisible web, one that stretches endlessly in all directions. This web is not metaphorical, it is energetic, real, pulsing with data. The ancients called it the Akasha. Quantum physicists today might refer to it as the zero-point field or the unified field. Mystics have long described it as the Book of Life, the ethereal record of all that ever was and ever will be. And the secret is this: psychic ability is not the creation of knowledge from nothing, it is the skill of tuning into that web, of pulling from the stream that is already flowing around you. But how does one begin to access this hidden stream? First, through the gateway of attention. Your attention is your most sacred currency. Whatever you focus on, you feed. And what you feed, grows. The average mind is like a flickering candle in a storm, pulled in 1,000 directions, distracted by endless noise. But when your attention becomes still, focused, and refined, it transforms. It becomes a laser. And that laser pierces the veil between the visible and the invisible. This is the first great principle of psychic awakening. Stillness reveals what noise conceals. Psychic perception begins in silence, not just the absence of sound, but the deep inner quiet where ego no longer chatters and the inner witness arises. This is not passive emptiness. It is a poised readiness, like the moment before lightning strikes. From this stillness, intuitive impressions begin to emerge, not as booming voices or cinematic visions, but as whispers, pulses, sudden knowings that come not from thinking, but from remembering something you didn't know you had forgotten. The second principle is resonance. Every object, thought, emotion, and soul has a frequency. You already tune into these frequencies more often than you realize. Have you ever walked into a room and felt a thick, heavy tension without anyone saying a word? That is resonance. When someone is lying, and you feel something is off, but you can't explain why, that is resonance. Psychic training is the art of refining this ability until it becomes conscious, intentional, and accurate. Now consider this. Just as a radio must be tuned to a specific frequency to receive a signal, so too must your consciousness be calibrated. This is why ancient initiates underwent purification rituals, fasting, chanting, isolation, not to appease spirits, but to silence the noise of the body and tune the instrument of the self. You become the antenna. You are the receiver. The third principle is imagination as interface. In modern society, imagination is dismissed as childish or delusional. But in mystical traditions, imagination is sacred. Not fantasy, but directed vision. It is the bridge between the rational mind and the higher planes of consciousness. When seers speak of seeing visions, they are not hallucinating, they are activating the inner screen where higher realities imprint themselves. Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He was not being poetic, he was being literal. Your imagination, when refined, becomes the canvas upon which intuitive truth is painted. Every psychic impression comes through this inner canvas, whether as symbols, flashes of imagery, or emotional tones. To become psychic is to learn this symbolic language. It is not always linear, and rarely logical. It speaks in archetypes, in feelings, in flashes of light that vanish the moment you try to analyze them. And so, the beginning of psychic mastery is not the acquisition of power, it is the refinement of perception. It is about unlearning what you've been told is real. It's about dismantling the lie that only the material world exists. It's about quieting the mind, attuning the senses, and learning to read the unspoken. You are not developing something foreign, you are awakening something ancient, something that has always lived within you, just beneath the surface. And yet, this is only the threshold. We've tasted the water at the edge of the well, but deeper truths lie ahead, truths that challenge logic, defy conventional wisdom, and crack open the gates to a reality where nothing is hidden. To journey deeper into the realm of psychic mastery is to step beyond the surface currents of perception and descend into the undercurrents of reality itself, a realm where thought bends time, where symbols breathe, and where the line between the self and the universe begins to blur. This is the domain the ancients referred to when they spoke of walking between worlds. It is not a metaphor. It is a literal shift in consciousness, one that dissolves the illusion of separation and reveals that the universe is not outside you. It is within you. You see, The modern world has conditioned us to believe that power lies in the external, technology, authority, status. But true psychic power is paradoxical. It grows not from accumulation, but from surrender. The more tightly you cling to ego, the more the inner vision clouds. The more you release attachment to control, the more the veil thins. This is one of the most guarded truths of the mystic path. To command the unseen, one must first become nothing. This is why so many of the great prophets, sages, and visionaries lived in solitude, spoke in riddles, or were dismissed as mad. Their minds no longer operated within the rigid frameworks of logic. They perceived time not as a straight line, but as a spiraling dance. They understood that every moment, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously, layered like translucent veils. Psychic vision is the art of peeling back those veils and glimpsing what lies beneath. Let's address one of the most persistent myths, that psychic abilities are purely paranormal or supernatural. In truth, there is nothing super about them. They are natural, but rare, only because our culture has built walls against them. Consider how intuition is ridiculed, how dreams are forgotten, how children are taught to disbelieve their imaginary friends, their gut feelings, their vivid inner worlds. Yet these are the very pathways through which the soul speaks. Psychic power doesn't arrive through force, it re-emerges through remembering. Remembering how to listen. Remembering what it feels like to know something before you know how you know it. There is also a hidden irony in the pursuit of psychic strength. The more you chase the power itself, the more elusive it becomes. Because true psychic activation comes not through desire, but through alignment. You don't force the third eye open, you invite it to bloom. You don't hunt visions, you create space for them to come to you. The ancient mystics understood this well. That's why their rituals often began with acts of devotion, not domination. Surrender, humility, reverence, these are not signs of weakness. They are tuning forks for the divine frequencies. And then there is the matter of symbols. All psychic languages are rooted in symbols. Not words. Not even images. Symbols are bridges between the conscious and the unconscious, the finite and the infinite. This is why visions often appear cryptic, an owl flying through a burning forest, a door that appears in a mirror, a stranger who says your name without speaking. These are not random. They are messages wrapped in the cloak of metaphor, and the more you begin to feel their meaning instead of analyzing them, the more they unlock. Every culture once honored this language. The tarot, the runes, the I Ching, all are systems not of prediction, but of reflection. They are ancient mirrors, calibrated to help you translate intuitive data into visual form. They act as keys, not because they create the message, but because they focus it, like tuning a telescope to see a faraway galaxy that's always been there, just out of reach. And finally, we must speak of the greatest paradox of all, that the power you seek is already functioning within you, right now. Have you ever thought of someone, only to have them call seconds later? Dreamt of a place you've never been, only to see it later in waking life? These are not coincidences. They are echoes. Signals. Psychic sparks flickering in the background, waiting for your conscious attention to give them form. You are not broken. You are not waiting to be given something from the outside. The gift is here. The flame is lit. The veil is already thinner than you think. And now, it is time to bring this knowledge down from the ethereal into the physical. To move from theory into practice. To touch the invisible, and shape it. Now that we've peeled back the veil and glimpsed the architecture of psychic perception, it's time to ground these revelations in practice. Power without application is like a key to a door never opened. But before you begin any technique or ritual, understand this: psychic development is not about adding something to yourself, it is about clearing away what no longer serves. It is about refinement, not accumulation. Silence, not spectacle. Begin here, with the most underestimated yet foundational practice: stillness. True stillness is not just the absence of noise, it is the disciplined quieting of internal turbulence. In a world addicted to stimulation, sitting in silence for even 5 minutes can feel unbearable at first. But stay with it. Find a space where you will not be disturbed. Sit upright, not rigid, but alert, as if waiting for a whisper in the dark. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply, slowly. And simply observe. You're not trying to stop your thoughts, you're training your awareness to separate from them. Let them pass like clouds across a black sky. Eventually, you'll begin to notice subtle sensations: a tingle across your forehead, a pressure behind your eyes, a gentle hum beneath your thoughts. These are not distractions. These are doorways. You're beginning to awaken the inner senses, the organs of perception that lie dormant in most. Once this daily stillness becomes familiar, you may move to sensory sharpening. Spend time focusing on each of your 5 senses, one at a time. Smell the air with full awareness. Listen to every layer of sound in your environment. Taste your food as if you've never tasted it before. This act of presence is the precursor to extrasensory activation. When you become exquisitely aware of the physical world, you become more attuned to the subtle world that overlays it. Next, engage in symbolic visioning, a form of guided or intentional inner imagery. Close your eyes and visualize a scene, a temple, a forest, a mirror. Walk through it in your mind. Let it evolve. Don't force it. What emerges will often carry personal messages wrapped in archetypal form. Keep a journal beside you. Write down what you see, feel, or intuit. Patterns will begin to emerge over time: symbols, colors, even names. This is how the deeper mind speaks. And the more you listen, the louder it becomes. Then there is energetic tuning, sometimes called running energy or psychic clearing. Sit quietly and imagine a stream of golden or violet light descending from above your head, flowing through your spine, out your feet, and into the earth. This is not just visualization, it is alignment. You are connecting to the source above and grounding into the earth below, becoming a conduit. If emotions arise during this, let them move. Energy must flow to refine perception. You may also begin experimenting with object reading or psychometry. Hold a personal item belonging to someone else, a ring, a key, a photo, and close your eyes. Feel. Don't try to guess. Let impressions come. A feeling. A place. A sound. A name. Speak it or write it, even if it makes no sense. Over time, your accuracy will sharpen, and you'll learn to trust what comes without filtering it through doubt. But above all, cultivate trust. Doubt is the great poison of psychic development. It strangles the subtle impressions before they can form. Psychic perception is like catching the wind. If you grab too tightly, it vanishes. You must learn to receive without grasping, to observe without needing to control. Obstacles will arise. Fatigue, inconsistency, skepticism, perhaps even fear of what you might discover. When this happens, return to center. Return to breath. Return to the knowing that you are not chasing something foreign, you are awakening something familiar. This is not a race. It is a spiral. You will revisit the same lessons, each time from a higher vantage. There is no final destination. Only unfolding. And with each practice, each moment of stillness, each symbol decoded, you step closer to the vast, uncharted realm within yourself. A realm where the invisible becomes visible. Where the divine speaks in your own voice. Where you remember what you were never truly allowed to forget. As you stand now at the threshold of your own unfolding, take a moment to feel the currents that stir beneath the surface of your awareness. You have journeyed through time's hidden corridors, touched the echoes of ancient seers, and learned that psychic power is not a distant fairy tale, but a natural extension of your own consciousness. You discovered that stillness is not emptiness, but the fertile soil in which intuitive sparks ignite, that symbols are not mere curiosities, but living doorways to deeper truth, and that surrender is not weakness, but the alchemy by which the ego dissolves and the soul's vision emerges. Remember this: every technique, every ritual, every breath you have taken with intention is not a step toward some remote mountaintop. It is the mountain itself, awakening within you. There is no secret scroll locked away by shadowy masters. There is only your willingness to remember what was written in the Akasha long before the first civilizations rose or fell. You are the living archive of cosmic possibility, and the more you practice the arts of stillness, resonance, and symbolic visioning, the more you will recognize that the world you perceive with your eyes is but one layer among infinite realms. Do not be surprised if, in the coming days, you begin to notice subtle shifts, a dream that feels more vivid, a sudden knowing in the midst of chaos, a moment where time seems to bend around you. These are the gentle ripples of awakening. They are not accidents, they are invitations to dive deeper. Embrace them without fear, question everything, accept the undeniable guidance of your own inner witness. And so, as you step forward, hold this final truth close: the power you seek is not granted, it is reclaimed. It has always existed within the silent chamber of your heart, waiting for you to turn the key of awareness. Let this be the moment you look inward and affirm, I am more than flesh and bone. I am a vessel of unseen forces, a channel of the divine, an instrument of cosmic creativity. The veil is thin. The door is open. Now, cross the threshold and remember who you truly are. What wonders will you discover when you stop searching outside and begin exploring within? The answer lies not in words, but in the sacred silence that awaits your arrival.